You've just pulled off an amazing project. The presentation went perfectly, the client loved it, and then your boss steps in and takes all the credit. That sinking feeling in your stomach. I know it well. But what if I told you that this frustrating situation could actually become your stepping stone to bigger opportunities? Today we're going to flip the script on credit-stealing bosses and turn this challenge into your career catalyst. Before we dive into solutions, let's understand exactly what's at stake when your boss takes credit for your work. Think about the last time you poured your heart into a project only to see someone else claim it. That enthusiasm you once had, it starts to fade. Research shows that employees who experience credit stealing are 67% more likely to disengage from their work. It's not just about you. When one person sees their boss taking credit unfairly, the entire team starts questioning their own future contributions. It's like a slow-acting poison in the workplace culture. Here's the real kicker. When your achievements aren't properly attributed to you, you're missing out on crucial career-building moments. Those wins should be your stepping stones to promotions, raises, and new opportunities. Let's break down the most common ways bosses typically claim credit for others' work. Understanding these patterns is your first step toward addressing them effectively. The most obvious form happens right in front of everyone: the public takeover. Picture this. You're in the middle of presenting your project when your boss suddenly jumps in, taking control of your presentation. They start using phrases like, "my strategic approach," or "my team's execution," effectively pushing you into the background. They might use collective terms like "we" or "the team" when things go well, but suddenly switch to "I" when speaking to higher-ups or important stakeholders. You might notice them downplaying your specific contributions, making them sound more like basic tasks rather than the strategic insights they really were. Then there's the sneaky email hijack, a classic move in the digital age. Your carefully crafted email with innovative solutions gets forwarded up the chain, minus your name and contribution. You notice you're consistently left off certain email threads until after decisions are made, only to find your ideas being presented as someone else's. Your detailed analysis and recommendations mysteriously reappear in your boss's presentations, almost word for word, but without any mention of you. Perhaps the most subtle but damaging form is the silent treatment. You find yourself mysteriously uninvited from meetings where your work is being discussed, only to hear about the great ideas your boss shared later. When stakeholders compliment the work, your boss conveniently forgets to mention your involvement. Team successes that you spearheaded are presented as solo achievements in performance reviews or department meetings. When faced with a credit-stealing situation, your response can either damage your career or propel it forward. Let's compare the typical reactive approaches that most people fall into versus the strategic proactive steps that actually work. While reactive approaches might feel satisfying in the moment, they often backfire. Proactive strategies, though requiring more patience, create lasting positive change and career advancement opportunities. The knee-jerk reaction is to confront your boss immediately, often emotionally, which can damage your professional reputation and make you appear difficult to work with. Many resort to subtle jabs or passive-aggressive comments in meetings, which colleagues pick up on and view as unprofessional. Feeling unappreciated, you might start doing the bare minimum, ultimately hurting your own career growth and reinforcing negative perceptions. Venting to colleagues might feel good temporarily, but it creates a negative perception and can get back to your boss, making things worse. Keep detailed records of your contributions, including emails, meeting notes, and project milestones. Create a paper trail that clearly shows your involvement and ideas. Develop relationships with peers and other leaders who can witness and validate your contributions. These allies can naturally speak up about your work without you having to do it yourself. Build direct relationships with key stakeholders, clients, and upper management through thoughtful interactions and valuable contributions in meetings. Learn to communicate your achievements in ways that benefit both you and your boss, making it natural and advantageous for them to acknowledge your contributions. To effectively handle a credit-stealing boss, we need to understand what drives this behavior. It's rarely as simple as pure malice. There's usually a complex web of psychological factors at play. Often credit-stealing bosses are wrestling with their own deep-seated insecurities. They might feel threatened by talented team members or struggle with imposter syndrome, thinking they need to prove their worth constantly. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you respond more strategically. Credit stealing can be a way for managers to reinforce their authority. In hierarchical organizations, some leaders mistakenly believe that maintaining power means diminishing others' contributions. This often stems from outdated management philosophies or personal experiences where they saw this modeled by their own former bosses. There's a fascinating psychological phenomenon where some managers fear being outshined by their subordinates. They might worry that if you get too much recognition, it could highlight their own limitations or potentially threaten their position. This fear can drive them to minimize your achievements, even when doing so ultimately hurts team performance. Sometimes credit stealing isn't even conscious. Some bosses have developed these habits over years, perhaps starting in environments where taking credit was normalized. They might not even realize how their behavior impacts others or violates modern workplace norms around recognition and collaboration. Now that we understand the psychology, let's build a robust system to protect your work and ensure you get the recognition you deserve without coming across as defensive or confrontational. Set up regular check-ins with stakeholders and create natural opportunities to showcase your work in progress. Send status updates that copy relevant team members, use project management tools that track contributions, and create milestone presentations where your role is clearly documented. Think of these as your professional breadcrumbs. They make your contributions impossible to ignore. There's a huge difference between bragging and strategic self-promotion. Share your wins in ways that elevate the entire team. For example, instead of saying, "I did this, try," "I'm excited to share how our approach on Project X led to a 40% improvement." This makes it harder for anyone to claim sole credit while positioning you as a team player. Work with your team to implement formal recognition practices. This could be regular project retrospectives, contribution tracking in team meetings, or shared credit protocols. When these systems are in place, credit stealing becomes much more difficult and obvious. Build relationships across departments and with senior leaders outside your direct reporting line. When you have strong connections with multiple stakeholders, your contributions become more visible and harder to minimize. Plus, these relationships often lead to opportunities that don't depend on your immediate boss's recognition. Let's break down your credit protection strategy into 4 easy-to-remember components. I call these the 4 Ps of credit protection. Think of these as your professional insurance policy. First, paper trail. This isn't just about keeping records. It's about creating a digital footprint that's impossible to ignore. Every email, every project plan, every brilliant idea needs to have your name attached to it. Use tools like shared documents with version history, project management software, and regular status updates. When your work is thoroughly documented, it becomes part of the official record. Second, public presence. Being good at your job isn't enough. You need to be visibly good at your job. Speak up in meetings, share insights in company forums, volunteer for cross-functional projects. Make your contributions so public that trying to claim them would be like trying to steal the office building itself. Obviously impossible. Third, professional network. Your reputation shouldn't depend on just one person. Build relationships with colleagues, stakeholders, and leaders across different departments. When multiple people know and value your work, you create a network of advocates who can speak to your contributions, making it much harder for anyone to claim your achievements. Finally, positive framing. This is about mastering the art of talking about your achievements in a way that lifts everyone up. Frame your successes as team wins while clearly owning your specific contributions. It's not "I did this alone," but rather, "I'm proud of how my approach helped our team achieve these results." Here's the moment everything changes. When you realize that dealing with a credit-stealing boss isn't just about defending your work, it's actually forcing you to develop some of the most valuable skills in your career toolkit. Think about it. By learning to navigate this situation, you're mastering strategic communication, building influential relationships, documenting your impact, and developing political savvy. These are exactly the skills that separate average performers from future leaders. The very challenge that feels like a career obstacle is actually preparing you for executive-level leadership. This isn't just about protecting your credit. It's about transforming into someone who knows how to wield influence effectively and ethically in any professional setting. While immediate protection of your work is crucial, let's look at the bigger picture. How to position yourself for long-term success, regardless of who tries to take credit. Start building your personal brand both inside and outside your organization. Share your expertise through company knowledge sharing sessions, industry conferences, or professional social media. When you become known for specific expertise or achievements, it becomes much harder for anyone to claim your work. Consider starting a blog, speaking at events, or contributing to industry publications. These create undeniable proof of your capabilities. Create opportunities for direct interaction with senior leadership. Volunteer for cross-functional projects. Participate in company-wide initiatives, or offer to lead presentations to executive teams. The more senior leaders know you and your work firsthand, the less dependent you are on your immediate boss's representation of your contributions. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Develop multiple paths for recognition and advancement. This might mean working on parallel projects with different teams, building relationships across departments, or taking on responsibilities that give you visibility to multiple stakeholders. When your success doesn't depend on a single person's acknowledgement, you're much less vulnerable to credit stealing. Think strategically about your career path. Sometimes the best response to a credit-stealing boss is to plan your next career move. Use this experience to identify what you want in future leadership roles and what type of culture you want to work in. Start building the skills and relationships that will support your next career step, whether that's within your current organization or elsewhere. Let's wrap this up with a clear, time-based action plan. These are your exact next steps to take control of your professional narrative. Right after watching this video, open your calendar and block out 1 hour. Use this time to create a detailed record of your current projects, your specific contributions, and the measurable impacts you've made. Start a digital folder with all relevant emails and documents that prove your work. In the next few days, reach out to 3 key stakeholders who benefit from your work. Schedule informal coffee chats or virtual meetings. Don't make it about your boss. Make it about building relationships and understanding how you can add more value to their objectives. Over the next 4 weeks, implement a systematic approach to visibility. Set up weekly status updates, create a project dashboard, and establish regular check-ins with key stakeholders. Remember the 4 Ps we discussed. Make them part of your routine. Looking ahead to next quarter, develop your broader influence strategy. Map out key relationships you need to build, identify opportunities for high-visibility projects, and plan how you'll document and communicate your successes. Set specific goals for expanding your influence beyond your immediate team.